So also no call to order. So that no need to call to order. This is just an informal discussion.
Okay, due to the lack of a quorum.
Correct.
Okay.
Should have got donuts or something.
Right?
You're alive.
Okay. All right, welcome to the Parks and Rec Board, March 17th, 2025, 6 o'clock, the Commissioner's Room. We do not have a quorum tonight, so there will be no call to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. Okay, do we have any public comment and any items that are not included on the agenda? No? Okay. Technically, we cannot approve the minutes, correct? Because that requires a motion. So, do you have any corrections to the minutes, by the way?
No, I did not.
Okay. All right. So let's discuss the design workshop and the survey. Obviously, the first one, we had, 8 participants in the actual workshop at the library. And so basically it was more of both a financial and a time constraint decision to cancel the second workshop, in-person workshop. And we went ahead and had the contractor put the designs online so that people can look at them through their different medium. And we're going to leave that open for 2 weeks and see what kind of comments and discussions we get back on the designs. And we did alter one design. We added the building into the Centerville design, a multi-use facility. So do we have any, you want to talk anything about it? Has anybody gotten any, received any comments on that or not?
Madam Chair, I have just a little bit to add to that. I have posted it on social media. Obviously, it was posted on our county website. I've gotten a little bit of feedback. I've had a few calls in my office of people asking questions. Specifically today, I had a phone call where someone was really interested in one type of recreation and wanted to make sure that her vote would count for that one specific, even though she liked both concepts. And so, she her question was essentially, which which piece of property does the county intend to develop first? And I said, well, it's kind of the chicken and the egg where we're at. Once we finish this master plan, I think this board will have a better idea of which piece of ground would be best to develop first. I mean, that's my take on it. Maybe they will both be developed concurrently. I have no idea, but there's a strong possibility at the closure of this master plan project that this board can make a recommendation to the commissioners on which piece of property should be developed to what capacity, and then we can pursue grants. So I did tell her, that little bit of information that, we're not saying Centerville is the first property to be developed. Neither is Canton the first property to be developed.
Right.
We need to finish the master plan. So if she has a strong interest in one type of recreation, maybe vote more heavily on that piece of property that would fit that type of recreation, if that makes sense. But it was a really good conversation because it was something I hadn't considered, especially, in my position with the county as with this board. We maybe don't have a niche where we are strongly wanting to see recreation go. It's not as if someone here is saying we definitely want just pickleball or baseball or an indoor facility. Especially with this group, which I'm not a member of the board, but staff for the county, we want to see everything come from the public and to make that best determination. So it was a really good conversation. It was a really good question to be posed that way. If you are strongly interested in one type of recreation, maybe consider which piece of property would best fit that type of recreation based on the plans that we have out there, and weigh your vote more heavily that way.
Yes, and there was a section at the bottom to put comments, to also add comments to whichever direction they wanted that to go, or to add if they didn't see if their particular interest, such as the meditation peace pole park thing, who wasn't addressed, then they can add that in the comments in the bottom. Okay, good. Good discussion on that. Dirk, anything from you?
Nothing to add, no.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
entertain, sure.
Brad Peck, PECK, Broadwater Rod and Gun Club. I'm a little confused. I just had a couple questions, kind of briefly. So I was looking at the survey stuff come back, and on page 9, I know we're still talking about baseball, and I'll be honest, we need something for the kids around here for sure. But when I look at, I guess where I'm a little confused is we had this plan, public plan, show up the other day, and people were talking about it, where to place stuff, do that, the general layout for the master plan. But I don't know how we're still trying to figure out what we're going to build, because the public didn't respond, or we only had 8 people show up to it. But when we look at the survey, baseball is significantly behind others. And so much as to affect us at the gun club would be trap. And it looks like the outdoor adventure skeet shooting archery stuff was number 2 in that list. So I just wanted to make sure I had my ducks in a row. And, you know, if either, I understand the Centerville won't work for high school baseball field because of size.
Right.
But there's a significant financial involvement from us to move stuff to make way for baseball, which was further down on the list than we were. So I guess I just wanted some clarification. I know we can't do it today, but at the next meeting we can discuss it about, are we still looking for public input on what we're building? Or was the survey did that and now we're just looking for placement of facilities? So that was all I wanted to say. But any questions?
Okay. Has your organization seriously looked into building maybe a rod and gun club of the 22nd century up on that west side?
Up on Indian Creek?
Up on Indian Creek?
We have, we do have the,
I mean, to kind of consolidate all your operations and to
Right.
really have everything there in long-range visionary plan. Have you gotten something like that together with your group?
we do have a long-term plan. There's a whole bunch of fiscal complaints involved, or compliance stuff. So we don't have power. And the power that currently goes up to the mine is at a rate they can't share with us, meaning there's no extra power off the power lines there for us. The way the range is laid out, there's, with insurance and other obligations, we can't overlap activities, meaning they have to be complete and separate of their own. So we don't have a location for trap on that property that's suitable for trap. The biggest issue we have trap is it has to be a flat location. The trap house height is dictated and the shooting position is dictated, not only lengthwise but height-wise. So there is, and those machines require a significant amount more power than our sporting clays does. We have sporting clays up there currently. While they both shoot a similar bird, they're completely different gigs, and most of the time the guys don't share between the two. They're one, or they're either trap or they're sporting clays. And as the group gets older, it tends to be more trap. Although the kid push right now is pretty good. So there is some BLM to the east of us that is a possibility. The only thing it does for us is flat ground. There's still no power. And on that piece, there's mining issues between Indian Creek and it. So there's going to be some legal wrangling. But so the power, the flat ground, and clubhouse, which is fairly normal for, again, it's older generation stuff. Typically older generation stuff. So that's our only problem with being in one location versus the two.
Yeah. So you have water up there for?
We don't.
You don't. Okay. So
No.
you're actually the water, the power, and the geography itself.
Geography of it, yeah.
Okay.
We've actually talked about moving some of the others to try to make room, and when you break it all down, we still are just no flat ground as part of the problem. So even if we killed Sporting Clays and built it there, Sporting Clays runs over a ravine in our case, so it's not flat ground either. But there's a whole bunch of problems. When we looked at it last time, it's about $1 million to pull it off, between a building and just what
And
buildings go for right now is
excavation and leveling.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
So by the time we got power and not even addressing the water situation yet, I understand, I think there's 2 wellheads on the county property just to the north of us. I'm sorry, just to the west of us. I don't know if those rights are there or not, but there might be a water source that way.
And that land
Currently,
up
we
there
have
is
dry.
county? that
Yeah,
you
it's the
have your
transfer
facility?
station there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that circumstance.
I was just asking
Oh,
for
absolutely.
background, absolutely,
Yeah.
for just some background.
It's easier to make choices when it's, when I initially look at everything, it all seems possible, but then financially and space-wise, it gets tough.
Mhm.
Well, it's just like we're running into with baseball. Where do they go?
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Right, and
I-
even the golf course, it's a wonderful vision to want 9 more holes, but it's another to get $20 million to do it. But,
As Jesse said last time, I couldn't believe one green was, $70,000 or something? And so now you want to put in 9 more. And I agree, do we need 18 holes, or would 18 holes be nice in Broadwater County? 100%. Should we have a complete baseball complex? 100%. Soccer complex? 100%. I mean, if we can't support our kids, I'll go back to the trap thing because that's our current issue. Is trap has really blown up in the last 2 or 3 years. The fastest growing kids sport is trap currently. So, and those are the kids we support,
right,
obviously.
it does this.
I was told the other day 4-H has 19 Broadwater kids shooting trap with us every weekend. Doing their safety stuff right now, but that's a pretty good number for Broadwater County.
Well, and again, does everything have to be centered in Townsend? That's another issue. Well, the Silos is pretty darn flat ground. I don't know that we have any county property out there, but south of the county, potentially donors of bare land somewhere else. Does it have to be within Townsend? I know it's convenient for people, but when we're looking at these big, huge multi-use complexes or singular use,
Yes.
such as what you have, or even the baseball or tournament fields, you look at what Copper City's kind of blown up down there on the south end with the mountain bikers. Who'd have thought? So, and now they're starting to build other things to go with it. So, just wondered,
Yeah.
And that's
in
our
the
problem.
vision.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm looking on Onyx here at that BLN that's to the east, northeast of you. Is that the part you're talking
Yep.
about? Even there, I mean, if you could get power, the length you have to run
To get there.
to get there, that's going to be a lot.
Yeah, from the tracks down here is the power distribution.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, there's not enough pull off from the subdivision up there either.
yeah. I mean, I can see where it's flat.
And we don't have huge demands, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
still. I mean, I think you'd be better looking off at like a big Generac propane generator,
yeah,
something like
with
that.
a tank.
yeah.
Yeah,
And we're trying to avoid a lot of the small temporary stuff.
right.
I mean, that range was laid out, 40 years ago almost. And the way it's laid out is a way that doesn't make sense nowadays. Both locations, meaning the trap houses could have been turned a little bit. And
Here, yeah.
yeah, and then up there, the zero range should have been another 100 yards downrange instead of where it's at. But now we're $85,000 into the structure there, so we'd stay in. But that's my caveat is, it's temporary. I would consider generator temporary. We do generators for sporting clays. I'd have to double check, but we spend $500 or $600 in fuel just for those generators for 2 hours a week, once a week. So, 'cause we don't run one generator, we run 3. Because can't run all the machines on one of them. So, all of these issues are stuff that I'm hoping to prevent in the future so that, if we can get property to do it there and funding to do it there, then we're kind of heading the right direction. In the same way I would wish, this project to go is not to have to fix it in 10 years. I keep saying I try to leave it better for whoever's going to take it over next time. I know it's a horrible adage, but it is the case, right? So, which is what you're trying to do by making this project better. And this project's been going on for
A little bit more permanent.
10 years. I mean, that I've,
Oh,
been
the 8
part of
years
this
I've been
talking.
on the board.
yeah,
Yep.
I've heard talk of it for a long time, so.
Okay. Bill.
Anyways, that was my only stuff.
All right, thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, and I know that for the design online, I sent it out to John Hahn, and he put it out on the BCDC network, and got it out there as well. I had the Rotary listserv, went out on that, so hopefully we'll get some good responses, some input. And again, as I mentioned as well, Brad, for you, and I imagine your spouse, but is that these are not set in stone. These designs are just some conceptual designs that we're putting in the plan so that we can plan. Even if we don't get the money for a multi-use facility, if we decide to leave that area undeveloped and maybe put a BMX course, that can always be taken out at a later date because it's just dirt. You know, it's not going to be structure like a multi-$100,000 tennis courts. You know, that's kind of why we looked where we looked to put those facilities, preserving the land for the golf course by not building anything but put fields out there like soccer fields and walking trails where if the golf course does end up getting an endowment from somebody and gets the enough money to do that, they're not taking out permanent huge structures to put a golf course expansion. So that's the, you know, it's having that plan in place to be able to give people the ideas on where we can go with this kind of stuff. And then we're a little restricted on the Centerville property because of the floodplain as well, when we were looking at that. Dog park, chain link fence, perfect. You know, gets flooded once in a while, so what? It's just going to be grass again, park bench, chain link fence. So those are kind of some of the things we're taking under consideration as we start developing these designs with the engineering company and trying to include those. Okay. A letter of support to the leadership group for the tennis court project. Was that drafted, done?
Madam Chair, would you like me to respond?
Sure.
Okay. So I had an email request from
Liz
Miguel, who
Wishman?
was with the Big Sky Big Leadership. I don't know if you've all heard of Big Sky Big Leadership. It's a function of not 4-H. Why can't I think of Extension? Excuse me. Gosh, Broadwater County Extension. It's a 9-month class that is put on by Allison Costo. She does a stellar job with this class, Big Sky Big Leadership. And at the close of every class, each class, they break into groups and they have to come up with a project that they want to see happen, right? So just giving you kind of the backstory on why Big Sky Big Leadership. One person is reaching out and asking this because one of the groups wants to resurface the tennis courts and potentially apply for a grant. So they wanted a letter of support from the Parks and Rec Board. So no, that letter of support was not done.
Okay.
I think that letter can probably be written and then brought to the next meeting for this
Okay.
board's vote and approval, especially since you can't vote on it today to say that you would necessarily approve because maybe you would not approve of supporting that project.
I think, didn't we? I thought we had done that at the last.
Liz Wishman came. Liz
But
Wishman.
Liz Wishman
Okay.
did, but I
didn't
thought we
approve
had,
anything.
oh, we didn't. Okay, all right. We
Okay.
we said we'd talk about it. All right. Yes, I think that, would one of you two want to draft that up? You want me to